Captain Taeho Kim stood on the bridge of his ship, the Seonbi, and watched the dead planet grow larger on the main screen. Kepler 442b looked like a brown rock floating in the cold darkness of space. No plants, no water, no life. Just another empty world that had been dead for thousands of years. "Captain, we are getting close to the surface," said his pilot, Wonsik Lee. Wonsik was young but smart. He could fix anything on the ship and fly it through the worst storms in space. "Good. Take us down slowly. Dr. Park, are you ready?" Taeho turned to look at the woman sitting at the science station. Dr. Hyejin Park looked up from her computer screens. She was the best at studying old things that no one understood anymore. The galaxy was full of ruins left by people called the precursors. No one knew who they were or where they went. They just left behind buildings and machines that were far more advanced than anything the current galaxy could make. "I am ready, Captain. The scans show the ruins are about 5 kilometers from where we will land. They look bigger than anything we have seen before," Hyejin said. Her voice was excited. She loved finding new mysteries to solve. The Seonbi landed, with a soft bump on the rocky ground. Outside, the air was thin and cold. The 3 humans put on their spacesuits and walked across the empty land toward the ruins. As they got closer, Taeho felt amazed. The buildings were huge. They reached up into the sky like metal mountains. The walls were smooth and covered with strange patterns that seemed to move when he looked at them. "These are definitely precursor ruins," Hyejin said, as she took pictures with her scanner. "But they are different from the others we have found. Look at these symbols." She pointed to marks carved into the metal walls. They looked like writing, but not like any language the galaxy used now. "Can you read them?" Wonsik asked. "Not yet, but I will try. Help me set up the lab equipment." The team worked for hours setting up their tools and machines. Hyejin used special computers to study the symbols and take samples of the metal and rock. Wonsik checked the old machines they found, trying to understand how they worked. "Captain, you need to see this," Hyejin called out. She was standing in front of a wall covered with numbers and symbols. Taeho walked over to her. "What is it?" "These numbers. They are mathematical constants, the same ones we use for physics and engineering. But look at this." She pointed to a specific symbol. "This is the golden ratio, and this one is pi. They are exact, down to 20 decimal places. So, the precursors were smart. We knew that already." "Yes, but look at how they wrote the numbers. The style, the way they drew the symbols. It looks familiar." Hyejin was getting more excited. She pulled up files on her computer. "I have been studying human mathematics from Earth's history. Look at this." She showed him pictures of old human books and writings. The symbols looked very similar to what was on the wall. "That could just be a coincidence," Taeho said. "Maybe. But there is more." Hyejin led him deeper into the ruins. Wonsik found something interesting. They found Wonsik standing next to a large machine. It was dark and cold, but it looked like it might still work. "This is some kind of computer," Wonsik said. "The design is strange. It does not use the same technology as other precursor machines. It looks more simple, like something humans might build if they were very advanced." Hyejin connected her scanner to the machine. "I am getting readings. There is still power in this thing. Very little, but enough to maybe turn it on." "Is that safe?" Taeho asked. "I think so. The power levels are very low. It will not explode, or anything." Hyejin worked carefully with the machine. After an hour, lights began to flicker on the surface. The machine made soft humming sounds. "It is working," Wonsik said. "Look at the screen." A flat surface on the machine began to glow. Symbols appeared on it. At first they looked like the strange precursor writing, but then they began to change. "The machine is translating itself," Hyejin whispered. "It is changing the symbols into something we can understand." The symbols became numbers and letters that looked like human writing. Then words appeared. "Welcome, children of Earth," the screen said. The 3 humans stared at the words in shock. "That cannot be right," Taeho said. Hyejin worked quickly with her computer. The machine is accessing my scanner. It is reading our DNA. It knows we are human. More words appeared on the screen. You have returned to the stars. Good. We have been waiting. We? Wansik asked. The screen changed. It showed a picture of a planet. It was blue and green with white clouds. It looked exactly like Earth. Home, the screen said. Where we came from. Where you came from. Hye-jin was typing fast on her computer. Captain, I am getting massive readings from all over this planet. The machine just activated something. It sent out a signal. What kind of signal? A beacon. It is broadcasting our location and our genetic information. Every ship in this part of the galaxy will be able to find us now. Taeho felt cold fear in his stomach. Turn it off. I cannot. The machine has locked itself. It says the message must be sent. The screen showed new words. The galaxy must know. The time for hiding is over. Humanity has returned to claim what was always theirs. What does that mean? Wansik asked. Hye-jin was studying her readings. Captain, I think I understand now. These are not precursor ruins. These are human ruins, very old human ruins. Humans built all of this thousands of years ago. That is impossible. Humans only left Earth a few hundred years ago. No, Captain, we left Earth before, a long time ago. We built an empire across the galaxy. Then something happened. We left. We went back to Earth and forgot we were ever here. The machine made a loud beeping sound. New words appeared on the screen. Message sent. All galaxy networks have been notified. Humanity has returned. Prepare for contact. Taeho looked at his team. They had found the greatest discovery in galactic history, but they might have also started the biggest crisis the galaxy had ever seen. We need to contact Earth immediately, he said. They need to know what we found, and they need to know that the entire galaxy is about to learn that humans are not new to the stars. We were here first. We were the precursors. We were the ancients. Outside the ruins, the beacon continued to broadcast its message across the galaxy. In council chambers and military headquarters on thousands of worlds, alien leaders were beginning to receive a message that would change everything they thought they knew about the galaxy and about humanity. The sleeping giants had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The message from Kepler 442b reached the Hegemony Council chambers on the capital world of Nexus Prime, exactly 12 hours after Captain Kim's team activated the beacon. Regent Nalthok, leader of the council, stood perfectly still as he read the report for the third time. His insect-like eyes clicked as they moved across the screen. This cannot be correct, he said to his aide. Run the analysis again. We have checked it 5 times, Regent. The genetic markers are clear. The beacon identifies the exploration team as human. The message claims that humans built the precursor ruins. Nalthok felt something he had not experienced in his long life. Fear. The precursors had been gone for over 2,000 years, but their technology still amazed and frightened the galaxy. Their jump gates allowed instant travel between star systems. Their power sources could fuel entire worlds. Their weapons could destroy planets. And now it seemed that humans, those primitive newcomers from the edge of the galaxy, were actually the precursors. Call an emergency session, Nalthok ordered. All council members must attend, and send ships to monitor the human home system. Do not attack, but watch everything they do. On Earth, President Jae Sung-yoon was having the worst day of his presidency. The message from Captain Kim had arrived just as he was having breakfast. Now he sat in the emergency command center with his top advisors, trying to understand what it all meant. Show me the data again, he said to Admiral Boram Choi, Earth's first contact specialist. Admiral Choi pulled up the holographic display. Captain Kim's team found clear evidence that humans colonized the galaxy over 2,000 years ago. The ruins contain human DNA samples, mathematical constants we use, and technology that recognizes modern humans as descendants of the builders. But that is impossible. Our history shows that humans only achieved spaceflight 500 years ago. Our recorded history, Mr. President. But there might be gaps, dark ages where we lost knowledge and records. Dr. So Young Han, Earth's chief archaeologist spoke up from her seat at the table. It would explain many things. Why human evolution seems to have some missing pieces. Why we adapted to space travel so quickly. Why our brains seem designed for complex mathematics and engineering. President Yoon rubbed his temples. What does the galaxy think about this? Admiral Choi checked her reports. We are detecting massive communication traffic between hegemony worlds. They are scared. From their perspective, a species they thought was primitive and contained to one star system just revealed itself as the builders of the most advanced technology in the galaxy. Are they planning to attack us? Unknown. But they are moving military ships closer to our space. They want to be ready for anything. On the hegemony world of Keltar, General Vaxton paced back and forth in his command center. As military leader of the Keltar Defense Force, he had always been suspicious of humans. They learned too fast. They adapted to alien technology too easily. Now he knew why. If humans built the precursor technology, they must know how to use it, he said to his staff. They could activate weapons we do not understand. They could use the jump gates to appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. His aide, a young officer named Zixtal, looked worried. Should we prepare for war, General? Not yet, but we must be ready. Contact our allies. Tell them that the human threat is real. Back on Earth, President Yoon was meeting with world leaders through secure video links. The European Federation President, the African Union Chairwoman, and the Asian Commonwealth Premier all looked as worried as he felt. We need to be very careful about our response, President Yoon said. The galaxy is watching us. If we seem aggressive, they might attack first. But we also cannot appear weak, said Premier Song Min-ho of the Asian Commonwealth. If we really are the descendants of the precursors, we might have rights to technology and territory throughout the galaxy. Dr. Han had been studying reports from research teams across Earth. Mr. President, we are finding evidence everywhere. Ancient ruins in China that match precursor architecture. Mathematical formulas in old Indian texts that are identical to precursor science. Even some of our oldest myths and legends describe humans traveling between the stars. How did we forget all of this? Admiral Choi asked. Maybe we did not forget, Dr. Han said quietly. Maybe we chose to forget. Maybe something happened that made our ancestors decide to hide from the galaxy. On Nexus Prime, the Hegemony Council was in emergency session. Representatives from dozens of species filled the Great Chamber. The air was thick with tension and fear. Regent Nalthok addressed the assembly. Fellow council members, we face a crisis unlike any in our history. The species we thought was young and primitive has revealed itself to be our predecessors, the I. Humans built everything we consider advanced. They shaped the galaxy before any of our civilizations even existed. Representative Kolhan of the aquatic worlds raised a tentacle. What are their intentions? Do they plan to reclaim their former empire? We do not know. They claim to have only recently discovered their own history. That could be a lie, growled Representative Gorthak of the War Clans. They could have been watching us all this time, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. Or, said Representative Lyra-san of the Peaceful Alliance, they could be as surprised as we are. Perhaps they truly lost their history and are only now remembering. The debate went on for hours. Some council members wanted immediate military action. Others called for diplomatic contact. A few suggested trying to hide from the humans until they could figure out what to do. Meanwhile, on a dozen different worlds, alien scientists were frantically re-examining precursor sites with new understanding. Every symbol, every piece of technology, every architectural detail was being studied again. Dr. Yixmol, the galaxy's leading expert on precursor technology, was working around the clock at the main research facility on Nexus Prime. What she was finding terrified her. The humans did not just build some advanced technology, she reported to the council. They built everything, every jump gate, every power station, every piece of precursor tech we use daily. Our entire galactic civilization is built on human foundations. On Earth, President Yoon was preparing for the most important speech in human history. In a few hours, he would address the galaxy directly, responding to the growing crisis. Admiral Choi was briefing him on the military situation. We are detecting hegemony ships at the edge of our solar system. They are not attacking, but they are definitely watching us. What about our own defenses? We have a small fleet, but nothing compared to the hegemony forces. If they decide to attack, we cannot stop them with military force. Then we must stop them with words, President Yoon said. Dr. Han entered the room carrying a datapad. Mr. President, we found something important. Captain Kim's team sent new data from the ruins. There are more sites, hundreds of them. All across the galaxy. If the pattern holds, humans did not just visit other worlds. We built a complete galactic civilization. President Yoon looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, his ancestors had built an empire. Then they had abandoned it and returned to Earth. Why? What had happened to make them give up? The galaxy? And more importantly, what would happen now that the galaxy knew the truth? In just a few hours, he would speak to trillions of beings across thousands of worlds. He would try to convince them that humanity was not a threat, even though humans had once ruled everything they now called home. But deep in his heart, President Yoon wondered if his ancestors had made enemies when they left. And if those enemies were still out there, waiting for humanity to return? 3 weeks after the discovery on Kepler 442b, Ji-won Nam was working alone in the research lab beneath Seoul. She was young, only 25, but she had a gift for understanding how machines worked. The government had brought her hundreds of precursor artifacts to study, and she was finding patterns that the older scientists had missed. Dr. Kang, come look at this, she called to her supervisor. Dr. Sun-Woo Kang walked over to her workstation. He was Earth's leading expert on artificial intelligence, and he had been working day and night to understand the precursor technology. What did you find, Ji-won? She pointed at the artifact on her table. It looked like a simple metal cube, but her scanner showed it was incredibly complex inside. This is not just a computer or a tool. It is a communication device, but it is not trying to talk to us. What do you mean? It is trying to talk to other devices like itself. I think all the precursor artifacts are connected somehow. They are all part of one big network. Dr. Kang felt excitement growing in his chest. Show me your data. Ji-won pulled up her analysis on the computer screen. Look at these signal patterns. Every artifact we have studied shows the same thing. They are all sending out weak signals trying to connect to something, but they cannot find what they are looking for. Because the network has been turned off for thousands of years, Dr. Kang said, understanding immediately. Exactly, but I think we can turn it back on. Across the city, Commander Yoo-jin Seo was meeting with President Yoon and his military advisors. The situation in space was getting worse every day. More alien ships were arriving at the edge of the solar system, and tensions were rising. The hegemony is demanding answers, Commander Seo reported. They want to know our intentions. They want to know if we plan to reclaim our old territory. What did you tell them? President Yoon asked. The truth. That we are as surprised as they are. That we have no plans to invade anyone or claim anything. Do they believe us? Some do. Others think we are lying. The war clans are particularly suspicious. They think this is all part of some long-term human plan. Admiral Choi spoke up from her position at the table. We need to be careful. If the aliens think we are a threat, they might attack first. Our defenses are not strong enough to stop a full hegemony assault. What about the precursor technology? President Yoon asked. Can we use any of it to defend ourselves? That is what Dr. Kang's team is working on, but so far we have not been able to activate anything significant. At that moment, Dr. Kang burst into the room without waiting for permission. His face was excited and worried at the same time. Mr. President, we need to talk. We found something incredible. What is it? Ji-won discovered that all the precursor artifacts are part of a network, a galaxy-wide communication and control system, and we think we can turn it on. Everyone involved, the room went quiet. Are you sure that is a good idea? Commander Seo asked. We may not have a choice. The aliens are getting more aggressive. If we can access the network, we might be able to defend ourselves, or at least understand what our ancestors left for us. President Yoon thought carefully. What are the risks? Unknown. The network has been dormant for over 2,000 years. We do not know what will happen when we wake it up. But Ji-won thinks it will recognize us as human and give us access to the system. And if it does not recognize us, Dr. Kang looked uncomfortable. Then it might treat us as intruders, like the rest of the galaxy. 2 hours later, Dr. Kang and Ji-won were in the deepest level of the research facility, standing in front of the largest precursor artifact Earth had ever found. It was a black cylinder 3 meters tall, covered in the same flowing patterns they had seen on Kepler 442b. Are you ready? Dr. Kang asked. Ji-won nodded. She had connected dozens of smaller artifacts to the cylinder, creating a web of connections that she hoped would be strong enough to activate the network. Beginning activation sequence, she announced. She pressed a series of buttons on her control panel. The artifacts began to glow with soft blue light. The cylinder started to hum. Suddenly, the room filled with light. Holographic displays appeared in the air around them, showing star maps and data streams that moved too fast to follow. It is working, Ji-won shouted over the noise. The displays began to slow down and focus. A three-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared, with thousands of bright dots scattered across it. Those are the network nodes, Dr. Kang said in amazement. Look how many there are. The map zoomed in on their solar system. Earth was marked with a special symbol, different from all the others. Then a voice spoke. It was calm and human, speaking. Perfect Korean. Network activation detected, scanning for authorization. A beam of light swept over Ji-won and Dr. Kang. Human genetic markers confirmed. Authorization accepted. Welcome back. Who are you? Dr. Kang asked. I am the network administrator. I have been waiting for your return for 2,347 years. What happened to the humans who built you? They chose to leave. The galaxy was not ready for their guidance. They decided to wait until younger species had developed naturally. Ji-won was studying the displays around them. The network connects everything. All the jump gates, all the power stations, all the defense systems. Our ancestors built infrastructure for the entire galaxy. Correct, the network said. All current galactic civilizations use human technology, though they do not know it. Dr. Kang felt a chill. Can we control it? Can we shut down their ships and weapons? Yes, but that was not the intention of your ancestors. They built these systems to help other species grow, not to control them. But we are being threatened, Ji-won said. The aliens think we want to conquer them. The network can defend Earth if necessary, but activation of defensive systems will be detected by all galactic civilizations. They will know that humans have access to precursor technology. Show us our options, Dr. Kang said. New displays appeared, showing different scenarios. In one, the network's defensive systems activated and protected Earth from any attack. But it also showed that this would terrify the galaxy and probably start a war. In another scenario, the network remained mostly dormant, revealing just enough capability to make aliens respect humans, but not fear them. There is a third option, the network said. Full activation. Your ancestors left protocols for this. If humanity proves itself worthy, the network will grant complete access to all systems. How do we prove ourselves worthy? Ji-won asked. By showing that you have learned wisdom, that you will use power to help rather than to dominate. At that moment, alarms began ringing throughout the facility. Commander Seo's voice came over the intercom. Dr. Kang, get to the command center immediately. The aliens are moving. A large fleet just entered our solar system. Dr. Kang looked at the network displays. He could see the alien ships approaching Earth. The network was showing him their exact positions, their weapon capabilities, everything. Can you stop them? He asked the network. Yes. But if I do, the galaxy will know that humans have awakened. There will be no going back. Ji-won was already running calculations on her tablet. Dr. Kang, if we activate the defenses, we will start a war, but if we do not, Earth might be destroyed. The network's voice remained calm. Choose carefully. Your decision will determine humanity's future in the galaxy. Will you be conquerors or guides? Will you rule through fear or through wisdom? Dr. Kang looked at the approaching alien fleet on the displays. In a few hours, they would reach Earth, and humanity would have to decide what kind of species they wanted to be. The network waited patiently for his answer, just as it had waited for over 2,000 years. The voice that emerged from the network was different from the administrator's mechanical tone. It was warm, ancient, and unmistakably human. Dr. Kang and Ji-won stared at the holographic figure that materialized before them. An elderly woman, with kind eyes and silver hair. "My name is Min." "So," she said softly, "I am what remains of the last generation that chose to leave the stars." Dr. Kang felt his heart racing. "You are human? After all this time?" "My consciousness was preserved in the network when my body died. I volunteered to stay behind and watch over our legacy. I have been waiting for this moment for over 2 millennia. Ji-won stepped closer to the hologram. "Why did your people leave? Why abandon such an advanced civilization?" Elder So smiled, sadly. "Because we realized that true strength is not in having power, but in knowing when not to use it. We had become the galaxy's rulers by accident. Every species that achieved spaceflight found our technology and became dependent on it. We were stifling their natural growth. But you could have helped them develop," Dr. Kang said. "We tried. But when one species has all the answers, the others stop asking questions. We were becoming their gods, not their teachers. So we made the hardest choice in human history. We withdrew." The displays around them showed images from the past, human cities on distant worlds, massive space stations, fleets of ships that dwarfed anything the current galaxy could build. "We did not just leave," Elder So continued. "We set up a test. The network would only fully activate for humans who had proven they deserved it. Humans who had learned wisdom through struggle, not inherited it through birthright." Above them, new alarms were sounding. The alien fleet was getting closer to Earth. "What kind of test?" Ji-won asked urgently. "How you handle this crisis will determine everything. Your ancestors faced the same choice we did, rule through strength or guide through wisdom. The network is watching to see what you choose, Commander." SEO's voice crackled over the intercom again. "Dr. Kang, the President needs you in the war room immediately. The alien fleet is demanding our surrender." Elder So's expression grew serious. "You must go. But remember, the network responds to humanity's collective choice. It will not activate for individuals. Your entire species must prove itself worthy." In the war room beneath the presidential palace, the atmosphere was tense. President Yoon stood before a massive display showing the approaching alien fleet. Over 300 ships surrounded Earth, their weapons powered and ready. "What are our options?" he asked General Hae In-song, the military commander who had just arrived from Mars Command. "Limited," General Song replied grimly. "Our fleet consists of 47 ships. Most are exploration vessels with minimal weapons. We cannot win a direct fight." Ambassador Kyung-Soo Han, Earth's diplomatic representative, was monitoring communications from the alien fleet. "They are demanding we surrender all precursor artifacts and submit to hegemony oversight. They want to place monitoring stations throughout our solar system. Essentially, they want to make us their prisoners," President Yoon said. "Yes, sir. They are afraid of what we might do with our ancestors' technology." Dr. Kang entered the room and quickly explained what they had discovered about the network and Elder So. "So we can defend ourselves," General Song said. "The network can stop their fleet." "Yes, but at what cost?" Dr. Kang replied. "If we use force, we become the thing they fear. We prove that humans are a threat to galactic peace. And if we do not defend ourselves, we become slaves," General Song countered. President Yoon looked at the tactical display. The alien ships were in perfect attack formation. "Can we contact their commander?" "Yes, sir. Regent Nalthok himself is leading the fleet." "Open a channel." The main screen changed to show the insectoid face of the hegemony leader. His multifaceted eyes glowed with suspicion and fear. "President Yoon," Regent Nalthok said, "you will surrender immediately and submit to hegemony authority. You cannot be trusted with precursor technology." "Regent Nalthok, we have no intention of threatening anyone. We only discovered our history 3 weeks ago. We are as surprised as you are." "Lies. Your species has been planning this return for generations. You will submit or face the consequences." "What if we offered a different solution?" President Yoon said carefully. "What if we shared our knowledge instead of hoarding it?" The alien leader's eyes clicked in confusion. "What do you mean?" "Our ancestors left this technology for everyone, not just for humans. What if we worked together to understand it better? What if we helped improve galactic civilization instead of trying to control it?" On the bridge of his flagship, Regent Nalthok was conferring with his advisors. The humans' offer was unexpected. The hegemony had prepared for war or surrender, not cooperation. "It could be a trap," warned General Vaxton over the communication link. "Or it could be genuine," said Admiral Tessara, the fleet's senior officer. "If they wanted to attack us, they would have done it already. Their ancestors' weapons could have destroyed our fleet before we even detected them." Back on Earth, President Yoon was making the most important decision in human history. General Song was urging him to activate the network's defenses. Ambassador Han was supporting diplomatic solutions. The choice would define humanity's future. "Dr. Kang," President Yoon said, "can you contact Elder So again?" "Yes, sir. She is always connected to the network. Ask her what our ancestors would do." Dr. Kang closed his eyes and spoke to the network through his neural interface. When he opened them, his expression was thoughtful. "She says our ancestors faced this exact situation. A galaxy that feared them and demanded they surrender their power. They chose to give up their empire rather than rule through fear." "And now?" President Yoon asked. "Now we get to choose again. But this time, we can choose a middle path. We can be partners instead of rulers or subjects." President Yoon turned back to the communication screen. "Regent Nalthok, I am going to do something my ancestors did not do. I am going to trust you." He signaled to Dr. Kang, who activated a limited connection to the network. The screens around the war room lit up with technical readouts. "This is a small portion of our ancestors' technology," President Yoon said. "Medical advances that could extend lifespans across the galaxy. Agricultural techniques that could end hunger on 1,000 worlds. Clean energy systems that could power civilizations without harming their environments. We are sharing this freely, with no conditions. All we ask is the chance to work together as equals." On his ship, Regent Nalthok stared at the data streaming to his computers. The medical technology alone could save billions of lives. The energy systems could revolutionize galactic civilization. "Why?" he asked. "Why give this away when you could use it to control us?" President Yoon smiled. "Because our ancestors learned something important. True strength comes from lifting others up, not holding them down. We want to be your partners, not your masters." In the network's core, Elder So watched as humanity made its choice. It was not the same choice her generation had made, but it showed the same wisdom. The willingness to use power to help rather than to dominate. "Network," she said softly. "What is your assessment?" "Humanity has proven itself worthy," the network replied. "They choose cooperation over conquest. They offer aid instead of demanding submission. They have learned the lesson their ancestors taught them." "Then it is time," Elder So said. "Activate the partnership protocols. Humanity is ready to reclaim its role as the galaxy's guides, not its rulers." Across the galaxy, ancient systems began to wake up. But instead of weapons and control systems, they activated medical facilities, communication networks, and research stations. The legacy of the ancients was finally ready to serve its true purpose. Not to rule the galaxy, but to help it grow. 6 months after the standoff at Earth, Captain Tae-ho Kim stood on the bridge of humanity's first new starship, the New Dawn. The ship was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. It combined human innovation with the ancient network's capabilities, but it was built for exploration and aid, not conquest. "Captain, we are receiving a distress signal from the Keltar system," reported his communications officer, Lieutenant Sujin Park. "A solar flare has damaged their power grid. Millions are without electricity." "How long to get there?" Kim asked. His navigator. "Using the restored jump gate network, we can be there in 30 minutes. Kim nodded. "Tell them help is on the way, and contact Director Lim on Nexus Prime. She will want to coordinate the relief effort." The New Dawn jumped through space using the ancient gates that had been dormant for millennia. As they emerged near Keltar, Kim could see the planet's cities, dark and cold below them. "Begin emergency power transfer," he ordered. "Deploy the aid modules." The ship's advanced systems, guided by the network's ancient knowledge, began beaming clean energy directly to the planet's surface. Within hours, lights were returning to the dark cities. On Nexus Prime, Director Sujin Lim was coordinating similar efforts across the galaxy. As head of the Galactic Development Council, she oversaw humanity's new role as guides and helpers to the younger civilizations. "Status report," she asked her aide, Minho Ryu, who had been promoted to captain after his excellent work in the crisis relief operations. 23 emergency responses this week, Captain Ryu reported. Medical crisis on Aquatica, food shortage on New Babylon, and a natural disaster on the frontier worlds, all successfully resolved using network resources. Director Lim looked out the window at the space station that had become the center of galactic cooperation. It was built using both human and alien technology, a symbol of the new partnership between species. "Any resistance to our operations?" "Less each month. The war clans were suspicious at first, but after we saved their colony from that asteroid impact, even General Vaxton admits we are not trying to control anyone." The transformation had not been easy. When the network first activated its full capability 6 months ago, many aliens had panicked. They suddenly realized that every piece of technology they used, every jump gate they traveled through, every power source they relied on, had been built by humans thousands of years ago. But instead of using this revelation to dominate, humanity had done something unprecedented. They had invited the galaxy to become equal partners in managing the ancient systems. The result was the new Ancient Compact, a galactic agreement that established humanity as guides and teachers, but not rulers. Every major decision was made by the Galactic Council, where every species had an equal voice. "Director," Captain Ryu said, "we have a message from Earth. President Yoon wants to discuss the new colony development project." Director Lim activated the communication link. President Yoon's face appeared on the screen, looking older but happier than he had during the crisis. "Sujin, how are the preparations going?" "Very well, Mr. President. We have identified 50 uninhabited worlds suitable for colonization. The terraforming systems are ready to begin preparation. Each species that wants to participate will receive worlds matched to their environmental needs." "And the aliens are comfortable with this?" "More than comfortable. They are excited. For the first time in galactic history, expansion will be planned and peaceful. No more wars over resources, no more fighting over territory." The colony project was Elder So's idea. Instead of letting species compete for limited habitable worlds, the network could transform uninhabitable planets into perfect homes for any species. It was another gift from humanity's ancestors, the technology to turn dead rocks into garden worlds. On Earth, Ambassador Kyung-Soo Han was meeting with representatives from across the galaxy. The weekly diplomatic sessions had become a tradition, where any species could bring concerns or requests directly to human leadership. "The Peaceful Alliance has a request," said Representative Lyra-san. "Our artists would like to study human music and literature from the ancient period. We believe it could help us understand the philosophy that guided your ancestors." "Of course," Ambassador Han replied. "Elder, So has been working with our historians to recover as much of the old culture as possible. We will share everything we find." "And what of the request from the research consortium?" asked Dr. Yixmol, the galaxy's former expert on precursor technology who is now Earth's partner in understanding the network. "The joint science stations are approved. human and alien scientists working together to explore the network's full capabilities. But remember, all discoveries must be shared with everyone. This was the key principle of the new ancient compact. No species, not even humanity, could hoard knowledge or technology. Everything learned from the network belonged to the entire Galaxy Elder. So's consciousness appeared as a hologram in the meeting room. She had become a beloved figure across the galaxy, a wise voice from the past who helped guide the present. "I have an announcement," she said. "The network has identified the location of the ancient archive." Everyone in the room fell silent. The archive was legendary, supposedly the central repository of all human knowledge from the first galactic civilization. "Where is it?" Dr. Yixmal asked breathlessly. "In the center of the galaxy, near the great black hole. It has been waiting for the galaxy to be ready for its contents." Ambassador Han felt excitement and worry at the same time. "What kind of knowledge are we talking about?" "Everything," Elder So said simply. "Medicine that could grant virtual immortality, technology that could move stars, weapons that could destroy galaxies, the complete scientific achievement of a civilization that had 20,000 years to develop." "That sounds dangerous," Representative Lyra-san said. "It is. That is why my people sealed it away. The galaxy was not ready for such power. The question is, are you ready now?" The room was quiet as everyone considered the implications. Access to the archive would advance galactic civilization by millions of years. But it would also create the potential for unprecedented destruction. "What do you think, Elder So?" Ambassador Han asked. The ancient woman smiled. "I think you have already answered that question. 6 months ago, when faced with the power to dominate the galaxy, humanity chose to share instead. When given the chance to rule, you chose to serve. You have proven that wisdom can grow faster than technology. But this decision cannot be made by humans alone," she continued. "If the archive is to be opened, every species in the galaxy must agree, and they must pledge to use the knowledge for the benefit of all." Over the following weeks, the debate raged across thousands of worlds. Some species were eager to access the archive's knowledge. Others were terrified of what they might find. The war clans worried about weapons technology falling into the wrong hands. The Peaceful Alliance feared that rapid advancement would destabilize their societies. In the end, it was the youngest voices that provided the answer. Students and children from dozens of species sent a joint message to the Galactic Council. "We trust you to make the right choices," the message said. "Our parents and grandparents lived in a galaxy of fear and conflict. We want to live in a galaxy of wonder and discovery. Open the archive, but do it together." The vote was unanimous. Every species agreed to the archive expedition, a joint mission that would include representatives from every civilization in the galaxy. Captain Kim was chosen to lead the mission aboard the New Dawn. As his ship approached the galactic center, he thought about how much had changed since that day on Kepler 442b, when they had accidentally awakened the beacon. "Captain," Lieutenant Park reported, "we are detecting the archive. It is massive, bigger than a moon." On the main screen, they could see an ancient structure floating in the space near the black hole. It was beautiful and terrifying, a crystalline sphere that pulsed with inner light. "Open a channel to all ships in the fleet," Kim ordered. The expedition included vessels from every species in the galaxy. "This is Captain Kim to all expedition vessels. We stand at the threshold of the greatest discovery in galactic history. But we stand there together, as partners and equals. Whatever we find in the archive will belong to all of us." As the fleet approached the ancient repository, Elder So's voice echoed through the network to every world in the galaxy. "My children," she said to all the species who had become humanity's partners, "today you claim your inheritance, not as subjects of an ancient empire, but as heirs to a legacy of wisdom and wonder. Use this knowledge well. Use it to heal, to build, to explore, and to grow. Make the galaxy a place where all life can flourish." The archive opened its doors and the galaxy stepped forward into a future brighter than any species had ever dared to imagine. Humanity had returned to the stars not as conquerors, but as the guides and teachers their ancestors had always meant them to be. The ancients had come home, and they had brought the entire galaxy with them.